Okay, awesome. Well, hi everyone. My name is Natalie. Today we're going to be going over social media 101. Hooray. So first I'd like to go ahead and start off. Actually, I don't have it in here. First I'd like to go ahead and start off by going ahead and just getting an idea of who we have in the room with us today. I always like to go ahead and get a sense of everybody's name, to everybody's business or prospective business, and if you're familiar with social media, whether that's personally or for your business. So I'll just go ahead and go down the list, and you can just turn on your microphones when I go ahead and call on you, and you can just give a brief introduction of yourself, your business, your prospective business, or your prospective business, and if you use social media. So I'll start with Claudia. I saw your name first. Hi, Claudia.
Hi, hello, Natalie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, dear. Thank you for having us here.
No, thank you for jumping on. So if you could just
Thanks.
introduce yourself, and just if you have a business, or if you would like to open a business, just a little description, and then if you use social media personally and or for your business.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I currently have my business. I'm actually hoping by next week I should be publishing my website and turning on business. But I am familiar with social media. However, I'm still I'm still in the process of figuring out how to market, how to use marketing on social media. So I'm literally right now in that process right now. And I have it's a cleaning business company.
Okay, cleaning business company. Okay, got you. Okay,
Yes.
so cleaning business, you just started on social. What platforms, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I open up Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Okay.
So yeah, I just uploaded like my logo, but I haven't really like put any content in it.
Okay,
Yeah,
but we have at least set up. Okay, so that's
right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, cool. Thank you, Claudia.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, next we'll go ahead and go to Shauna, I believe. Is it?
Hi, I am Shauna. My business is Omega Care Solutions. We are contracted with the New York City Department of Education to provide social services, physical therapy, occupational therapy, et cetera, to the schools around the city.
Ujú. Sobre redes sociales, uso de redes sociales.
Oh, Jose, I think you might have your microphone on. Would you mind muting for a second? Thank you. Okay, continue, Shauna. Sorry.
As far as social media goes, I have everything set up. I am just not confident enough to publish it. So it's up. Um, I
It's
just need
okay. It's
All right.
totally fine. It's totally normal. But you have it set up, which is great.
Yeah, it's set up LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. But I just need that I need to have something formal like this so I know that what I did is okay and I can publish.
Okay, awesome. Well, you're in the right place. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Shauna. Okay, next we'll go ahead and go to and pronounce apologies if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Genya? Gehanna?
You were right the first time, Genya.
Oh yeah, Genya. Okay, cool, awesome.
Yes,
Genya.
so thank you for holding this workshop. GPG Consulting, which is a consulting business that provides virtual contract management services. And as far as social media goes, I'm familiar with all of them. I've had accounts on personally and then other organizations that I've been involved in to manage them. But for business, I just want to know that I'm proficient and that I'm utilizing all the features. So Instagram, also Facebook, TikTok. I am was trying to get permission to sell on TikTok Shop,
Mm,
but was was denied. There was some kind of paperwork issue, so I'm still trying to resolve that. But
okay.
other than that, just trying to just make sure that I'm proficient.
Okay, awesome. And then you said, I know you said you did consulting, like virtual consulting services. What type of consulting?
Virtual contract management.
Contract
services.
management. Okay,
Right,
good. I'm sorry,
so
you can
for
do that.
businesses, tech, also student athletes as well.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and then next we'll go on to Marquis. Oh, sorry, Markel. Sorry. Marquel, would you mind going ahead and turning on your microphone? Sorry, I think you might still be muted. Or I might be butchering your name.
Hey, my name is Markel Bonds. Established my business this year, February 28th. Yeah, I'm just here to learn, see what else I'm ready to, see what I'm missing, what else I can learn, and what I'm missing to fit this. I have
Okay.
Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, awesome. And what business did you go ahead and start?
Uniques Organics LLC in the health and wellness industry.
One more time, can you help the
Uniques Organics LLC in the
Uh-huh.
health and wellness industry.
health and wellness. Okay, got you. Do you do like supplements? Do you do what kind of wellness, health and wellness?
Well, CMOS,
CMO.
cold press juice, soaps, organic skincare and hair care products. You name it.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so all over all wellness. Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you, Marco. Okay, awesome. And then we'll go ahead and go to Jose. If you can go ahead and just your business or prospective business, and then if you use social media for the business or personally.
Okay, thank you. This is Jose Medrano from my business is Jam Pool Designs.
Designs. Okay.
Yeah, our design. We are working with about pools, pool liner, pool covers,
Oh.
and also 3D designs. And I like to learn more about social media because we only have Facebook, but I like to learn about the other apps, you know.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Cool. Okay. So Blue Lines is that. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Jose. Okay. And then last but not least, Terry.
Oh, sorry about that. Hi, my name is Terry Tupper. I have had a not-for-profit for the past decade called Long Island Connections, but we are not yet a 501 because we had different issues within the organization why we couldn't do that. So now we want to turn into a 501, and that's why I joined today. I do have 16 social media groups online, and I have a reach of probably over 100,000 people. But I'm still not proficient at, connecting all the, I'm sorry about the dog, connecting all the things about social media, and running a charity to help people. We help the homeless and families that are at risk.
Okay. Homeless and at risk. Okay. Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay. So I think that goes ahead and covers everyone. Thank you guys for giving your introductions, your backgrounds. I always like to have just like a rough idea of where everyone's at, one with social, but then also too, just in terms of your business, I can kind of just like get a feel for them, and so I can maybe use some of your businesses as case studies and inside some of the examples. You guys can go ahead and get some ideas of what you guys could do on social yourselves. But it's great to hear that like it sounds like everyone's pretty much like at least on social media for the most part. So that definitely goes ahead and helps a lot with the context of things. So that's great. Okay, awesome. On that note, actually, let me go ahead and introduce myself really quickly. So my name is Natalie. For the past almost 5 years now, I've been going ahead and working within marketing. I go ahead and I have worked within corporate, working in marketing agencies, working with clients like Dove, Degree, Dr. Scholl's, Seventh Generation Taz OT, basically going ahead and working to go ahead and put together their marketing plans for the year. And I also go ahead and work freelance with a bunch of small business owners like yourselves, going and helping them to go ahead and build their social media presence online, but also to go ahead and help with their digital footprint and their personal branding. So that's a little bit about me. So I'll go ahead and dive into the slides on that note. Okay, so before we go ahead and get started, For those of you who have set up your social media accounts but haven't posted yet, this is very much for you. So just want to set the stage that a fear of posting on social media is completely normal. It's totally fine. Remember that nobody starts off perfect when they go ahead and post on social media. So it's totally okay to go ahead and go in there and not necessarily really know how to go ahead and navigate things and kind of, feel like you're going ahead and being messy or kind of just misstepping every step of the process. But just know that everyone has to start off somewhere, and improvements come with time and with practice. Your first post, a lot of people think like, oh no, I'm so afraid to go ahead and post my first post. But in reality, like, for your first post, it's not like 100,000 people are going to go ahead and be seeing your first post. Sometimes, you wish that was the case, but it usually is, maybe like 1-2 people, only, close family and friends who you want to go ahead and follow the account. So the stakes are very low. So it's good that you go ahead and go ahead and start small. You can experiment and see what resonates with your audience. And then you can go ahead and gradually build your confidence and momentum over time. And a good tip I always like to go ahead and tell my clients is the fact that you want to think about posting on social media as more of a conversation rather than a performance. With any type of performance, there comes a performance anxiety. So going ahead and thinking of it more as trying to go ahead and just share your knowledge, your expertise, and your passion about your business, which I'm sure all of you go ahead and have with your followers, is really going to go ahead and help to at least release some of the fear. So it's a little bit about that. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and dive into the structure of today's webinar. So first, I'll go ahead and touch on the benefits of social media really quickly. I'm sure a lot of you already know. Then we'll go into the social media landscape, just kind of basically the big players in the social media world, a platform breakdown by demographic and use case, going into then understanding your audience. And then the very last thing is more of the tactical. So that's post-creation techniques. So let's start off so quickly, just going over the benefits of social media. So social media is great, especially nowadays, the reach on social media is huge. It's probably the #1 channel that most companies go ahead and use nowadays to reach people, just because of the exponential growth, especially over the past few years coming out of COVID, it's seen. So you can go ahead and deliver really broad reach and accessibility to pretty much everyone across the board. It provides a level playing field for smaller enterprises to compete on a global scale, because social media, for the most part, is free to use, minus, of course, paying for advertising. So everyone can go ahead and join in on the fun. It's also really cost-effective means of marketing. So those paid ads I was talking about, they're very, very cost-effective for the most part, comparing to other forms of advertising and traditional media like television and print and stuff. You can go ahead and advertise on most social platforms for about $2 a day at minimum. So you can go ahead and it gives you a way to go ahead and get into the space of advertising at a very low cost, and with great engagement too. It's sometimes even better than your traditional Google paid ads sometimes. It also goes and aids in building brand identity, customer loyalty, and engagement. Because you can really go ahead and build your brand's identity on social by going ahead and, engaging in like certain brand colors, brand voice in your captions, different styles of posts that you go ahead and put out there, whether that's, if you do more of like a funny post, or you do more educational, you can really kind of tailor how customers see your brand on social. And it creates a great platform for that. You also allow your business to basically be humanized. So you can go ahead and tell your story and connect with customers on there and put basically a name or a voice behind the brand, without actually having to go ahead and talk to every single one of your followers or every single one of your customers, because there's only so many people that you can talk to in a day. So it goes and helps you to provide that voice without actually having to go ahead and physically be there. And then lastly, it goes ahead and fosters trust and loyalty that kind of, connects to the voice behind the brand. When people go ahead and see that there's, activity and people behind the brand, it really goes ahead and enforces that trust, especially when you're going ahead and providing something like education and materials to establish yourself as an industry leader in your industry. Any questions on the benefits of social media? Okay, awesome. In that case, I'll move on to the social media landscape. So I know some of you guys are already on social media. So again, I'm going to keep this decently brief, but for any of you who might be exploring some new platforms, this would be good for you guys to take a look at to see if there's maybe something that another platform that you want to tap into or shift over if the current platform isn't necessarily working out for you. So this is kind of like a good cheat sheet that I like to use, and I'll have a deeper breakdown on the next slide. But for the first one is Facebook. For me, Facebook is about scaling and connecting. So Facebook still remains to this day one of the largest social media platforms out there, despite a lot of people thinking the fact that Facebook is kind of like a dying platform. It still remains one of the largest because it's a global. It's popular across the globe, across all ages. It definitely does skew a little bit higher in terms of like the age demographics, but we'll get into that next slide. And the main features on Facebook that are great to go ahead and use are business pages, groups, and their local advertising. For Instagram, there you have for interest and inspiration. So it's super visually oriented platform, mainly focused on photo and video sharing. The main features there being live streaming, IGTV, stories, reels, and e-commerce integration, which very big emphasis on the e-commerce integration, especially for any e-commerce business owners like you, Markel, with your health and wellness. What's the face? It's very good between Instagram and also TikTok too, which I know that you went ahead and mentioned, Genya, that you were having issues with. So I know that it can be a little bit difficult, especially with TikTok. They have I've had clients who've had issues with them as well in terms of going ahead and getting integrated on their e-commerce. It's a relatively new. I think they launched their e-commerce, I want to say sometime like this past year. So they're still working through a lot of bugs when it comes to the platform over there. So, but that's neither here nor there. So speaking of moving on to TikTok, so you have TikTok, you can find the latest trends. So it's a very rapidly growing platform, the most rapidly growing out there. Known for their short form video content. However, they are now moving towards long form video content, but you'll find more of the long form video content geared towards storytelling. Multiple part series where they talk about, wild stories about like, someone's husband cheating on them for like 13 years and not being able to go ahead and find out like, who the chick is. And then it's a whole long drawn out thing. But that's a new move to long form content to go ahead and compete with YouTube. The main features on TikTok, TikTok's music, effects, and viral trends. They really are trendsetters across the board. You'll see most platforms going ahead and trying to copy TikTok and their features to try to go ahead and keep their user base and to attract the younger audiences. So very much trending. Then moving on to LinkedIn, the main purpose there for networking. So professional networking platform focused on career development, business and industry insights. The main feature there for businesses would be discussion posts, groups, and messaging. Emphasis on the discussion post. LinkedIn is going to mostly be about networking and discussions. But if anybody's going ahead and trying to target professionals, or if you're a B2B business, that's going to be your bread and butter. And then finally, there's YouTube. So YouTube, huge on education. YouTube, aside from Facebook, is again one of the largest platforms out there. It has a very vast audience. It ranges from super young to very older. Especially emphasis on the young. It has a very big kids demographic, but not targeting kids. But what's the face? They have both long and short form content. And their search is very good. They're owned by Google, so their SEO is amazing. So, but I'll touch on that in the following slides. But any questions on kind of just the general overview of the social media landscape, or if there's any social platform I didn't include on here that you would like me to talk about? Okay, great. So I'll move along. So this one is a more thorough breakdown. You can feel free to take a picture of this one if you want. I know there's a lot going on with the slide, but this one kind of gives demographic breakdowns for each platform, the general purpose for the use of the general public, what I find it's best for businesses for, and the downsides to the platform. So I know I covered over kind of just like the general purpose for the use for the general population, but I'll touch upon the demographics and what I find it's best for businesses. So Facebook, average age 25 to 54. It's one of the older skewing platforms out there aside from LinkedIn. For businesses, I find it best for building brand loyalty, event hosting, and local advertising, especially in terms of the event hosting and local advertising. Facebook has a ton of tools for local local things. So anything that you can go ahead and think of, they're really big on groups. So I urge you, if any of you are looking to be on Facebook or already currently on Facebook and you have a brand, I really advocate for you to go ahead and join all of the relevant local groups that are near you, or even just groups in general if you ship internationally that are related to your industry. You can go ahead and that's really where your community or your audience of people go ahead and hang out. Not only can you engage with them to go ahead and learn some insights about what they might be looking for inside of your product, or your service, but you can also go ahead and, engage with them, build a relationship with them. So I really highly recommend you going ahead and just checking out to see, you can search up basically just related keywords to your business, like health lovers of Long Island, or, people who are going ahead and looking for, contract, maybe like some of the sports, local sports members, there's a group for pretty much everything. So if you go ahead and look it up, you'd be surprised what you go ahead and find. It doesn't necessarily have to specifically be on Long Island. It could be in New York, or it can, like I said, be nationally if you do have a digital product or product that you can ship nationally. So I highly recommend that. And then local advertising, again, very good tools for geographical targeting when it comes to their advertising platform. So yeah, great for local. The downside for Facebook is limited reach outside of your network. So Facebook has probably one of the worst organic reach out of all of the social platforms. Unfortunately, when it comes to going ahead and pushing your content out to people who aren't your followers, it doesn't really go ahead and do such a great job of that. So you do have to go ahead and go out of your way to go ahead and find people to go ahead and follow your page, whether that be through ads, whether that be through going ahead and, like I said, going and joining those groups, or it be just, going ahead and asking, friends of friends to go ahead and to follow you, or, basically those would probably be your options for Facebook. So just to keep that in mind. For Instagram, that one goes ahead and skews a bit younger. So that's 18 to 34. For businesses, I find it best for lead generation and e-commerce. Lead generation in the sense of that organic reach that I had mentioned just a little bit previously. Instagram is a lot better than Facebook in terms of promoting your content organically. Not as good as TikTok. TikTok is one of the best for that, but Instagram is definitely better than Facebook in just organically pushing out your content to follow or to non-followers who might find your content engaging. And Instagram would go ahead and know that by going ahead and looking at, your page description. So that's your little Instagram bio, the captions that you put inside your Instagram post, whether that's in the video itself, in the post itself, or the meta descriptions that you use. So they comb all this information to go ahead and push your content out to other people. And like I said, it's a hit or miss sometimes in terms of how much they push it out to other people. But again, much better job than Facebook. And then e-commerce. Instagram e-commerce is one of the best e-commerce social integrated platforms that I've got ahead and used for some of my clients. So if you're having issues on, I remember getting you saying you're having issues on using TikTok's e-commerce, I recommend you trying out Instagram's. It's a lot older than TikTok's. TikTok, they just went ahead and recently launched theirs not too long ago. Instagram was the first one to go ahead and launch their e-commerce platform. So I definitely recommend checking out theirs. It's directly integrated in the platform. You can go ahead and connect it with, your Shopify account if you wanted to. So if you want to sell products directly to people, definitely recommend it, especially because with the e-commerce integrations, it just makes the conversion process so much quicker and so much more seamless that it goes ahead and it will increase your conversion rate. Because, for the most part, when people want to go ahead and if they have an inkling to go ahead and buy something, if you have to go ahead and go through 7 different steps just to go ahead and get to checkout to the product, you'll have a lot of people during those 7 steps drop off the process at various points. With the Instagram e-commerce integration, you can go ahead and literally post something, have a link in the post when people can click on the post itself, a little button inside like the picture or the video that you have, and it'll take them right to the checkout page. So it takes it from like a 7-step or 5-step process to all of a 2-step process to going ahead and checking out your product. So that's my rant on e-commerce. I'll leave that for now. Okay, moving along. The downsides for Instagram is that it's one of the most crowded spaces in terms of for business. Pretty much a lot of businesses go ahead and do have an Instagram account. It's one of kind of like the default social platforms that most people go on nowadays to start their business. So just keep that in mind. And then also the fact that it's image/video only. So it's going to take a little bit more effort as opposed to going ahead and posting on Facebook, where you can go ahead and just type in just a text post, which I don't recommend you go ahead and do. Always include video or images inside your post to make it engaging, but it's going to require a bit more effort. Then moving on to TikTok, probably the youngest skewing of the bunch, 16 to 24 on average. Again, for TikTok, it's best for lead generation e-commerce. Very much emphasizing the lead generation. You have a ton of stories, especially coming out of COVID, just of people going ahead and going viral on TikTok. It's still probably the best platform for you to go ahead and go viral on nowadays, to go ahead and gain a significant audience in a very short period of time. It's really sometimes the luck of the draw. The algorithm is forever changing, but it's very good for going ahead and getting that kind of just like injection into your following, into your to your other social accounts too, to go ahead and to link out from there. So, but of course, just keep in mind the audience is a little younger skewing, so you also have to keep your target audience in mind when thinking about which platform you want to go on. The downside there is that TikTok is video only, so it's going to be one of the most intensive platforms to have to be on, because you're going to be constantly going ahead and posting videos. Although they will be short form videos for the most part. So it's not maybe necessarily as intensive as posting on a YouTube, which is a little bit more long form. But just keep that in mind that you will have to take videos, and there's only so many videos that you could take of your product. At some point you will, have to go ahead and step in front of the camera too, or have somebody else step in front of the camera. So again, something to keep in mind. Then moving on to LinkedIn. Age average there is 35 to 55. They're all pretty much, professionals in some sense or form. For businesses, find it best for business development, of course, and then lead generation strictly for the professional individuals and for B2B. And the downsides there being limited interactions and low trust outside of your network. So with LinkedIn, of course, being the fact that it's a lot of professionals, they're mostly going to go ahead and keep to people that they have inside of their network. It's a lot more buttoned up than the other social profiles. You're not going to want everybody to go ahead and see all of, your resume information and your personal information on LinkedIn. So there's going to be a lot more guards up when it comes to people who you follow on LinkedIn or not. So there it's really going ahead and increasing your professional credibility and building that trust on LinkedIn. So education is going to be very big on LinkedIn. But I'll touch on in the following slides the best practices for each platform to go ahead and use. So I'll come back to that. And then finally, last but not least, YouTube average age there is 18 to 49. Again, the widest reaching. For businesses, I find it best for building trust and brand loyalty. So if anybody here has a business that basically has either a little bit more that they have to explain their product because it's either complicated, very technological, or is catered to a specific audience who needs to know specs. I'm thinking of maybe like you, Jose, in your case, with the pool lighting and everything, providing a service-based business. That's going to be a decent investment for people to have to go ahead and put into. It's good to have videos that educate people on the process, about the specs, about what's going on, so that way they can go ahead and build trust with you, so that way they feel comfortable going ahead and doing business with you and dropping that amount of money. So that's YouTube. Downsides there, like I mentioned earlier, with TikTok, is the fact that it's video heavy. And while there is short form on YouTube, they have both short form and long form in the form of shorts. It is going to go ahead and be that you're going to want to have that mix on YouTube with both short and long. And high quality is needed in terms of video quality for YouTube. It's coming like nowadays, it's a little bit less so in terms of the quality. There definitely is more of an emphasis on transparency being number one. But you do want to have a certain level of quality when it comes to your videos for sure. I would just recommend you all clean off your camera before you start shooting anything, and just make sure that you can hear yourself clearly, because a lot of times what people don't realize is the fact that audio makes more of a difference sometimes than the video quality. You can go ahead and, I mean, think about when you're watching a movie, you know, you can have a crisp, clear picture, but it's like, you know, if the volume's down too low, like you just start getting annoyed, like, oh, I can't hear anything. So that's, yeah, audio is always the way to go. Okay, any questions on the social media breakdown? Okay, awesome. Apologies, I know that was a mouthful, but we'll continue on. And we can always come back to the end for questions too. So this is just this is basically just a very condensed guide about how to get started on each platform, and just basic kind of best practices, or kind of a strategy to go ahead and use for each platform. So for Facebook, I would go ahead and probably get started there by going ahead and creating a Facebook business page if you haven't already, to share updates, promote products and services, and to engage with customers. Emphasis on the engaging with customers. And that's the note I made earlier about going ahead and joining relevant Facebook groups related to your industry to connect with potential customers. Instagram, creating an Instagram business account, or a little kind of trick / hack for Instagram, which I go ahead and use for most of my clients, is to go ahead and, instead of using a business account, use an Instagram professional account, which is what most influencers go ahead and use. Just because the Instagram business account, it limits you in the type of audio that you can go ahead and use, especially for your videos. So if you're making videos, you're going to go ahead and get stuck with kind of just like the copyright-free generic audio that kind of just sounds like, you know, just not great. So with the professional account, you can still go ahead and advertise and still promote your products, but you'll have a lot more of a range in terms of just like the types of audio that you can use. So it's like a little workaround. You know, it can only work up to a certain you know point. We're all you know, small business owners for the most part. It's not like, you know, Instagram's going to be breathing down your neck or anything like that if you go ahead and use one. And basically every single business account I've gone ahead and seen uses, for the most part, professional accounts, so you'll be fine. But for Instagram, Instagram business or professional account to showcase your products or services through Instagram stories, IGTV, and Reels. So notice I have mostly just video content on there. If you do go ahead and post on Instagram, I definitely do recommend that you do video. If you do images, I would just recommend that you go ahead and do carousels over just a single image. Carousels, I remember back when I used to work over in my agencies, carousels will always perform decently well, surprisingly, compared to our single images. It's the act of swiping, which people like to go ahead and do. It's entertaining and fun. So if you are going to post a video, try posting multiple videos instead of multiple images instead of one. So little trick. And then yes, leveraging Instagram shopping, which is kind of what I had mentioned earlier. Then TikTok. So you want to create engaging, entertaining videos, emphasis on the entertaining and engaging, or educational. There is room for educational on TikTok too, but making sure that they're short and punchy. And make sure that you go ahead and you showcase your products and services in a unique way. Of course, leveraging TikTok's trending music and templates, which are always great to go ahead and use because it's a nice plug and play situation. And the same point is Instagram, going ahead and using the TikTok shopping, just to allow customers to easily shop. Then for LinkedIn, creating a LinkedIn company page to establish your brand presence and share industry-related content. I'm going to go ahead and emphasize the sharing industry-related content for LinkedIn a lot in this presentation. For LinkedIn, the most things that people engage with are going to go ahead and be your industry-related articles. People love going ahead and talking about the news on LinkedIn. It's kind of what people go ahead and come there for, aside from going ahead and looking for job openings. They're looking for just like the latest news about their industry. So if you can go ahead and post articles and basically kind of poll or ask questions to your followers, like, you know, what do you think about this article, or providing your 2 cents about something, so you can really establish yourself as an industry leader amongst your followers. And then you can participate in LinkedIn groups, and like I said, create discussion posts to connect with other professionals and potential clients. And then finally for YouTube, creating a YouTube channel to go ahead and share educational content, product demos, customer testimonials, and behind the scenes footage. Behind the scenes footage is becoming really, really big nowadays, kind of like I had mentioned earlier with the transparency, how transparency is really becoming kind of, you know, the bee's knees nowadays. People love to go ahead and to see kind of just like rawness. I feel like a lot of people are kind of over a lot of like the polished, you know, super edited type of content sometimes. So some people like to go ahead and just see, you know, just, you know, a more transparent version of a business. You know, it doesn't have to be as buttoned up as it used to be. So just going ahead and getting personal with them. And then one other tip for YouTube is making sure that your video content is optimized for search. So just think about, you know, titles for your content that would go ahead and someone might type in, you know, looking for, you know, stuff related to your service, you know, about, you know, who do I find, you know, for how do I go ahead and get pool liners? You know, like what kind of benefits are going on with CMOS? What kind of, you know, how can I go ahead and get you know, update my contract or get a new contract, you know, to go ahead and sign in with this team or whatever it might go ahead and be. So just think about what people would be searching for something related to your business or something that you can answer with your profession, with your expertise in your business. So yeah. Any questions? Okay, awesome. Okay, so next one. Okay, so the next kind of slides are basically going to go ahead and dive in deep into each platform and just best practices for each. So I'll start off with Facebook. So Facebook, like I had mentioned earlier, you have pictures, videos and reels, links, and surveys and polls. So for the pictures, that is the one kind of caveat in terms of the pictures. Facebook is the place where you can go ahead and post one picture and still get decent engagement. For some reason, when you post multiple pictures on Facebook, it comes up a little bit weird and wonky into like this multiple gallery display. So I just think that images look just a little bit better just on their own on Facebook. It could be personal choice, but I just find that it's a little bit easier to see what's going on with just the one picture. So you can get a pass on the one picture on Facebook. Also on Facebook, you can also go ahead and post links in your description box. For some reason, you can't do that on Instagram. And it's always bothered me for the longest time, but on Facebook you can. So post the links away. Videos and reels. It's going to be the same thing across all social platforms. Videos and reels by far perform the best. If you are looking to go ahead and to really draw in that you know, organic audience of non-followers, videos and reels is going to be where it's at. People are going to be a lot more likely to find you by creating reels. So just want to go ahead and emphasize that. Links, kind of similar to the point I made on LinkedIn about going ahead and posting, you know, articles and stuff like that in case they're asking questions. It's always good to go ahead and ask questions and to go ahead and engage with people on social platforms. For the most part on social platforms, the algorithm and even people in general, they're going to go ahead and it's going to reward people who go ahead and engage. And that's kind of a part of what makes social media kind of like its own little like part-time job, for lack of better words. It's just the fact that it does require a lot of consistent engagement because, you know, social platforms at the end of the day, they're businesses too. You know, Meta, TikTok, you know, they want people, their goal is to have people go ahead and be social on their platforms because it's a social media platform. So the algorithms alone are going to go ahead and reward people and promote content to people who go ahead and post more consistently and who engage consistently. So yeah, that's just a side note there. And then actually on that engagement note, surveys and polls are a great way to go ahead and get engagement with some followers. So you can go ahead and post, you know, a poll on your page, you know, something again related to your industry. You always want to keep your content somewhat related to your industry. You know, it can be fun, it can be educational, it can be tongue in cheek, but just keep it related to whatever that you're in your industries in. And of course, keep it a little appropriate. You know, you don't want to go ahead and isolate people or alienate people by going ahead and using things like curse words. You know, unless, you know, your industry is very liberal and is okay with that. So just keep that in mind. But like you said, always related to your industry. Any questions on Facebook? Okay, awesome. Okay, so the Instagram. So these are the carousels I was talking about, the multiple images where you kind of swipe through. It can be images or videos on a single post. You can kind of tell a story basically with a showcase or collection of images. I've seen people go ahead and do this with kind of just like having a theme for the carousel. So it'll be, you know, on a specific topic, whether that's, you know, like anti-inflammation, and it can be, you know, tips and tricks on inflammation. It can be like memes about, you know, like being inflamed, you know, it can just be on like on a single topic, but multiple things about that topic kind of just mixed together, like a mixture of meme posts and educational stuff, infographics. So yeah, so that all kind of fall underneath the carousels, which again perform decently well, especially for still images, which is always surprising to me. Then there's Reels, which are very similar across the board. The thing is, the social media platforms nowadays, they all have very similar formatting for the most part, because they all kind of copied off of each other, which is good for you because you can go ahead and reuse that content across multiple platforms, which I recommend that you guys all go ahead and do, because having to post on social media is a lot sometimes. So whenever you can reuse content, definitely do it. Reels, for the most part, are videos on Instagram, on Facebook, and on TikTok are going to be pretty much the same ratio. So you can go ahead and repost on each one. The only caveat is for carousels, of course, because carousels multiple images, it comes off a little bit weird on Facebook. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, so just reuse your content wherever. Then you have stories on Instagram. I'm saying you don't have stories on Facebook or on other platforms, but stories are probably the most iconic on Instagram. So these are basically temporary posts that disappear after 24 hours. I find these really ideal for going ahead and sharing behind the scenes content, announcements, and limited time promotions, because these are areas where basically, you know, your most engaged or kind of just dedicated audience kind of just goes in to go ahead and check kind of to see like basically the latest updates. Because there's, again, going to disappear after 24 hours. So these can be a little bit more kind of off the cuff and edited, because they're going to go ahead and go away. It's not like it's going to be on your profile forever and you're going to have to, like, you know, keep it up there and have this as the face of your brand. So it can kind of just be a little bit more uncut, if you will. And then finally have live videos. Live videos, they're real-time video broadcasts. They're perfect for Q&A sections, for product launches or event coverage. The only caveat I would say with live videos is the fact that I usually don't recommend doing live videos, especially for people who are just starting off, just because there's nothing more uncomfortable for you personally and maybe for some of your audience members than going ahead and like having a live stream where you have like one person or two people in it. You know, you got to figure out how you're going to fill in the time because you're not really talking to anybody. So I would just, you know, hold off on the live videos. They're a great tool to go ahead and use once you do go ahead and build up a little bit of an audience. So you can go ahead and stay in touch with them and kind of just like, you know, form that connection and that bond. But that's for like a later time tactic. Okay, awesome. Any questions on Instagram formats? Okay, awesome. So long. Okay, TikTok. Super fun. So TikTok is going to be all video. So you'll have short form video, which is the classic TikTok style. Those are videos that are up to 60 seconds in length now. They usually go ahead and feature creative edits, music, effects, and trends. So again, these are very short, snippy videos. They can be very edited, or they can just go ahead and just be, you know, kind of off the cuff. For the most part, all the edits that you go ahead and do are in app. So it's just, you know, you taking a quick video and then editing an app with, you know, graphics, with music, with different types of effects and such. So it's very quintessential TikTok. But now they're going ahead and introducing long form videos to go ahead and compete with YouTube. And those are the ones I was telling you about that are, you know, really good for storytelling. And also for educational content though, too. TikTok has definitely been very big, again, trying to go ahead and come for YouTube in terms of the educational content. It's a little bit more kind of chopped up version of YouTube, but people love going ahead and finding tutorials, hacks, especially very much like hacks are huge on TikTok. So those types of educational content on TikTok. And there's also duets and reactions. So that's basically where you go ahead and take a video of yourself reacting to another video. So you superimpose one video on top of another and just react to it. and you can foster interaction and engagement and go ahead and build your audience like this too, because not only do you have the people who go ahead and watch that video and have seen that video, but then you also have your followers who go ahead and watch it too. So it can go ahead and be a good way to kind of just grow your audience a bit. And then finally you have challenges. So you can go ahead and participate in different types of challenges, whether that's, participating in trending music or going ahead and participating in an actual physical challenge. Like I know they had like the water dance challenge recently. It's probably one of the larger challenges that just went ahead and passed. But you can go ahead and these challenges usually trend. So people will look up, videos of that challenge or of that music, and they can go ahead and find your content more easily. So it goes ahead and it's just another way to go ahead and increase your visibility on TikTok. Okay, awesome. Any questions on TikTok post formats? Okay, cool. And move along to, I think last but not least, no, one more. YouTube. So YouTube, again, mostly strictly video. They just went ahead and introduced community post not too long ago, but for videos, again, you have long form, shorts, pretty much same as TikTok now, actually. But the long form definitely still reigns the king on YouTube. And you also have live streams as well. I'm not going to go too in depth, but it's again very, very similar to TikTok now. But now you have community posts, which are great too. So community posts, you can go ahead and post polls, quizzes, GIF, text, image posts to allow you to connect with your audience, to go ahead and engage with them, to go ahead and kind of poll them. And that's the one thing I do want to emphasize, especially with engaging with your community, and whether that's through, your Instagram stories is another place where you can go ahead and poll and quiz people, you pick your audience to go ahead and get their sentiments. I really do think it's a great way to go ahead and to get feedback from, your customers or your potential customers about what they might like to see from your business, things that, let's say if you're going ahead and trying to come up with like a new wellness product, for your company. And, you're trying to go ahead and figure out what ingredients to go ahead and use. And you want to see what ingredients people want to go ahead and see, in their, health supplements or whatever it might be. It's a good way to go ahead and to see like, oh, like maybe people might like this, and it's a good way for you to kind of like test out, your thinking and, the direction of your brand, and to see, what you should be going ahead and doing. And yeah, it's a great way to go ahead and do that. So it's not only going ahead and helpful to foster engagement and connection, but also good to go ahead and to learn, maybe what direction you should go in. So yeah, so that's YouTube. There are no questions. I'm on to LinkedIn finally. And for LinkedIn is one of the last places you could probably go ahead and post. Sorry if you guys hear the ambulance. We'll give that a second. Okay. LinkedIn is probably one of the last places that you can go ahead and post a text post, and it's completely fine. And you'll still get decent engagement. You can go ahead and ask questions. Like I had mentioned earlier, you can basically write out your thoughts. Articles, great for LinkedIn, and it's a very low kind of low effort way to go ahead and to engage with your audience, which is really good. So it's across the board, like, presentations, posting presentations about your services or the expertise that you go ahead and have in your services, answering kind of like, a big question, answering like some challenges inside your business. Everything on LinkedIn in terms of the post is all about expertise and news, expertise and news. So if you're going to be on LinkedIn, posting about your expertise and about your news. And then also news in terms of, industry news, but also news about your business. People love to go ahead and see, other people going ahead and achieving and earning, different promotions and milestones. So always going ahead and promoting, your good news to show people the fact that like you're on the up and up, your business is it's credible, it's going ahead and doing well, it's making money, because people always want to be involved with people who are going ahead and doing good in businesses that are doing well. So yeah, I think that concludes this section. Did anybody have any questions on the formats? Okay, if not, I'll move on to understanding your audience. So where they are, who do they follow, and what do they see? So knowing your audience can help you to tailor your social media efforts effectively, especially because there's so much to do on social. So you want to make sure what you're doing is going to be impactful. So you want to understand, their demographics, their interests, their preferences, so that you can really create content that goes ahead and resonates with them. So in terms of in terms of the audience, you want to understand, one, what platforms that they use and what times of the day and what days are they most likely engaging with your content. So the platforms, thinking about that, it's more of kind of just like an exercise and kind of be like, okay, like, what age demographic are they in? Okay, so that's one breakdown. And it's a good reference to go ahead and go back to the chart too that I had listed earlier to see in terms of, age demographics and kind of narrowing it down from there. What kind of gets more tricky as you kind of narrow down is, again, what days/times are most likely to engage with your content. That's something that you can do an initial kind of thought process behind. If you're going ahead and doing something that's a little bit more on the professional side of things, you probably would want to be posting more during like, business hours, because these are going to be hours and people are going to be going ahead and most likely thinking about, needing these services, whether that's, early in the morning so people can go ahead and take a look when they're on their way to work, during the weekdays, maybe not Fridays, because no one wants to think about work on Fridays. If your service is more, dedicated to leisure time and fun, maybe that might be, during like lunch. People are taking their lunch breaks and they're kind of like, getting over that initial morning hump and they're like, oh, I could really use a break. So that might be a good time for that. So it's kind of initial kind of just, thought process about, your audience and where they might be. But then as you go ahead and post more, you'll see those real-time analytics to happen. When you go ahead and go into almost every single social media platform has an analytic page to it. So when you set up your page, especially if you set up a business page or a professional page, you'll be able to go ahead and see your page analytics. You can see who liked your page, the demographics of the people who liked your page, what times of the day, what actual days, you have your peaks and your highs and lows. So I recommend you all to go ahead and monitor your activity at least once a month. If you can just go ahead and go in there and peek in. Sometimes you might do this more frequently if you have more engagement, but I would say at least go in there maybe like once a month just to go and check in to see, what your audience is actually looking like. And if that goes ahead and matches up with, your intended audience, and to see, how to align those two together. The next would be pages, what pages or influencers do they follow? Because there are any way you can engage with these pages. You can use them for inspiration, inspiration in terms of the types of content they go ahead and post. So, seeing, do they post, more like, tutorials? Do they post more just like funny memes? Do they post, more kind of just like, tell-alls where they sit in front of the camera and just, talk about, their craft while they go ahead and do it? So using those as kind of jumping off points, not to say that you have to copy their exact stuff, but just to get an idea of the types of stuff that they use and kind of like, use it as a template, if you will. Another good thing that I like to go ahead and do about pages that people go ahead and follow is, especially if they're, let's say like, sister brands or competitor companies, maybe to go ahead and to grab some followers, what you can go ahead and do is basically go through their list of followers and engage with their followers pages, because you know that if they're engaged with, the sister brand or this other company who's like maybe like either a direct competitor or a non-direct competitor, they would most likely go ahead and like your content too, because there's a reason why they followed this page's content. It's because they most likely, have a use for it. So it's a good way to go ahead and to gain some followers and to gain some very relevant followers, especially, is to go engage with those pages followers, if that makes sense. So as for pages, interest is pretty straightforward. What topics is your audience interested in, and going ahead and making sure that you tailor your content to those interests. Of course, align them with your business, but just making sure that, you're, maybe incorporating that into there. So, maybe for, going ahead and making sure that your video content goes ahead and aligns with it, whether that's, in the case of like, like having like a charity organization where you're helping like homeless, there's going to be people who, while they might go ahead and want to go ahead and support, your cause, there might be overall humanitarians where they want to go ahead and, you can incorporate other types of content that's related to that in your content as well. So, keeping broad, but also relevant. And then finally, the pain points and needs. So what does your audience want to know about your business? How can you help them solve any of their issues? So that really goes ahead and goes back to the providing value. And I think across the board for all of your content, you want to provide some type of value, because you want to provide value for people to go ahead and follow your account. You know, if you're constantly just going ahead and selling, and you're just asking and trying to go ahead and get value from other people, it's going to make people a lot less likely to want to go ahead and follow your account and engage with it, because they're just seeing you as just like take without going ahead and giving. So your content should really try to go ahead and provide value to people, whether that's educational value, whether that's in the value of entertainment, something. Usually I tell people to go ahead and try to have maybe like at the very least an 80-20 split between just, you know, fun, educational, whatever content that you want to go ahead and post, and selling. So the selling should be the 20% and the other content should be about 80%. Not to say that you shouldn't sell at all, because you definitely should sell it because you're a business, of course. But you don't want to go ahead and be shoving it down their throat constantly. You know, you want it to go ahead and be just weaved in there through there and organically in a way that's relevant to the content. But again, is it necessarily going ahead and just, you know, all the time? Okay. Any questions about audience before I move to posting techniques and tips? Okay, now I'll go into the final section. So I just want to help you guys basically to make the most out of your social media, to streamline your posting process, because the posting process is the most daunting part of the process and the most time consuming. So I just want to go ahead and give you guys some tips to help you to maintain a consistent and engaging presence, which is going to ultimately result in more followers, engagements, and eventually hopefully sales. Okay, so here are some general content types that you can go ahead and use basically as templates to kind of plug and play. So content usually generally falls into these 5 categories. I'm sure there's probably more, but these are probably just the 5 biggest. So you have entertainment. So that includes memes, jokes, puzzles, you know, something you can go ahead and inject into your relate to your brand or your industry. You know, you have this one, I know it's cut off a little bit, but you have like an Audible meme where you have like, you know, them being like, you know, the audience or whoever being like, I haven't listened to Dracula on Audible yet. And then you have like a little meme of I forgot which cartoon it is. It's a cartoon, but a little skeleton being like, you know. So you can go ahead and look up online, you know, trending memes or memes, you know, related to your industry. And you can go ahead and you can make your own memes by going ahead and pairing image with a fun caption that's related to the image. And you can go ahead and go from there. But like I said, you can look up online basically trending memes to get a sense of the meme humor if you aren't familiar with memes. But it's basically just like a bunch of silly jokes. Next, you have educational. So that's tips and tricks, blog posts, infographics, tutorials, guides, articles. So you can create stuff like infographics in Canva. You can go ahead and do tips and tricks, you know, posts. You can go ahead and do tutorials. Tutorials are very, very big in the world of social. So tutorials about, you know, whatever is related to your business, basically. Then you have interactive. So that's quizzes and polls and Q&As. Promotional. So that's the 20% that I mentioned earlier. So those are product shots, product updates, new releases, product reviews. For the promotional work, you really want to go ahead and keep it just nice and, you know, fresh, very clean, and visually appealing. You know, if you're going to go ahead and sell to people, you want to go ahead and do it in a way where it makes your product look good. So that's the caveat that I have there. And then finally, you have user-generated content, which is my favorite content because it's some of the lowest effort. So that's basically reposting your followers' content, of course, with their permission and making sure that you have their Instagram or their handle displayed. But it's a way to go ahead and 1, to generate content for your business, but then on 2, to going ahead and recognizing your customers who, you know, would probably really appreciate going ahead and having their content shared, whether it's going ahead and just, you know, showing a shout out or going ahead and recognizing them. So it's a good way to build relationships with your audience, and to go ahead and to like I said, have some very nice turnkey content to put out there. And then you also have influencers too, which is again another user-generated category, but that one's more of a paid If you do ever use influencers for your business, you don't have to go ahead and spend a ton of money. There's very much a category right now called like micro influencers, which are basically influencers who have about like a little over a 1,000 followers. They're usually actually probably a lot of times better than those macro influencers who have over, 20,000 to 50,000 followers, because those people who are going to have those 20 to 50,000 followers are going to be a lot less engaged with their audience because there's so many of them. A lot of times the followers the people who have a little bit lower follower counts between like the 1 to like 5K are a lot more engaged with their audience and have a lot more leeway with them, and they're more likely to go ahead and purchase from influencers who recommended products at that level. So if you ever look to go ahead and spend money on influencers, don't feel like you have to spend a ton of money on people who have giant followings. Okay. And then this is the content mix, kind of like I was talking about earlier with the 80-20 split. So you can go ahead and you can create your own kind of content mix about, how often you want to post things, but this is just an ideal kind of mix that I went ahead and came up with. So you can see the product promotion is about like 8%. So this one's very, very low, but again, it's still there and it's still weaved into there, and you're always still going to go and have your links to your website linked. You're always going to have your products linked where it needs to be, but it's not like your posts have to be product promotion driven. They can be weaved in there, but it shouldn't necessarily be the main call out in a good chunk of your content. So you have educational videos, you got meme videos, you got polls, you got behind the scenes. So you want to have a mix of content to keep things fresh, to keep your audience engaged and interested. So that's just an ideal kind of mix. Again, you can go ahead and tailor it. You can go ahead and make it more. You can make it less. But I would definitely go ahead and make sure that you just have a good mix in there, so you don't fatigue your audience with the same content over and over again.
We have a question in the Q&A.
Oh, of course.
What are your thoughts on X and Threads?
Oh. So I'm not a huge fan of either for separate reasons. Well, X, very, very volatile place to go ahead and be right now, with Elon and with everything happening with the election campaign. So it's just not very brand safe, in my opinion. You could personally be on it, it's totally fine. But in terms of like brand safety, it's not necessarily the best place to be for most businesses, unless you were to go ahead and have something like a food truck where you need to have like daily, small updates about, where your location's at and you're constantly traveling. I don't think it's worth it to be on Threads. Oh, sorry, worth it to be on X. And then Threads, I don't feel like there was at least the initial hype kind of just like off the bat about like, oh, it's a new platform, but I don't think that it's really caught on that much traction. Again, you could totally be on it, but I just don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I know it's a similar format to X. So if you were posting on X, it's easy cross post to Threads, but I don't think either is worth it for most businesses. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. Okay, and then I think we're coming towards the end. This is just a content calendar. So I highly recommend everyone to keep at least some type of system, so that way they can plan out their posting days. It's going to go ahead and keep you a lot more sane if you were to go ahead and plan things out versus having to just on the spot on the day plan out a post, for you to go ahead and do, especially because I tend to find that posting in the daytime, for the most part across all categories, usually works the best. I don't really think that posting into the evening time, most people are going ahead and winding down. You'll also have more eyeballs on your content if you post in the morning, because when you think about you start at the beginning of the day, then you have the opportunity for everybody during the rest of the day, people who are looking at your online at 9, at 3, at 6, they're all going to see your content, versus if you post at 6 o'clock, people who are on at 9 o'clock wouldn't be able to see your content. So that's just kind of like across the board, just like a little bit of a tip. So yeah, so on your content calendar, you just want to plan out, what days you're posting, around the times that you'll be posting those, and your posting days and times don't have to coordinate with the days that you're planning. The planning days can go ahead and be separate. Earlier days you can plan out and make your content on a Sunday, and then you can go ahead and, make 2 or 3 posts, or even just the post, and then post that on, schedule it to go ahead and post out on like a Thursday, just so you have it ready to go and you don't have to stress out on Wednesday or on Thursday about, oh my God, I told myself I was going to post today. So it's just good to just plan and create a little schedule with just at least, you know, the days, the times that you're going to be posting, and then the type of content that you're going to be making. So, so content calendars definitely recommend. And then these are just some platform specific tips. So, in terms of across the board, actually, templates, I love templates. Canva has great templates. I made this whole presentation in Canva. I love Canva. It's free to use. If you're not using it, I recommend. We actually have a series coming up in the summertime with one of our teachers, Helen, on Canva. It's basically just like a boot camp about how to go ahead and just do just about everything in Canva, marketing related. So I highly recommend. It's entirely free. We're going to be sharing out our July calendar soon, so you'll be seeing that on there. Especially for social media, definitely recommend it. So it just streamlines the process and just helps you maintain consistency in your branding. So great for that. Instagram, you also have templates on Instagram and then on TikTok too for making videos. So you can just plug and play with your content. You don't have to do the hard work of going ahead and just having to edit everything down. And whether it be Canva or an Adobe Premiere, you can just go ahead and actually just edit down your videos there and just drop them down into the template and make it a lot easier to post videos. For TikTok, you definitely want to go ahead and use trending memes and music. You can go ahead and Google online, you know, latest trends on TikTok, latest music trending on TikTok. If you go into the TikTok platform, if you go to the music tab, you'll notice there is like a little thing next to the music that says, like, you know, trending, or it has like a little like chart with an up sign. So I definitely recommend you going ahead and using the latest trending music or meme or whatever on TikTok, because it will go ahead and help you to gain a lot more traction that way. With LinkedIn, I've already like buried this into the sand, but you know, sharing curated content, just news and articles. And then YouTube, the search optimization, which I already touched on already. Okay, last slide. So in terms of just general tips and tricks, so for social, you really want to be consistent. And consistency doesn't have to be posting every single day. I can go ahead and be posting once a week, just to go ahead and to basically establish just a consistent base to establish credibility and trust with your followers, and also to go ahead and help basically boost you with the algorithm. The algorithm rewards consistency. You know, if you go ahead and you disappear for months at a time and then you come back, it's going to be a lot harder to go ahead and gain that momentum back. So I just recommend that you try to be as consistent as you can. Don't overwhelm yourself, but like I said, at least going ahead and doing once a week definitely is the way to go. The next one, just providing value. Again, offering valuable and relevant content as educational, entertains, or solves a problem for your audience. One of those three things should be present in your content if you're not going to go ahead and be promoting your products or service. And then the last tip is just to go ahead and go for it. I know this presentation has covered upon a lot. I think it's just really about just diving into social and just giving a try with just one post. After you go ahead and once you post, each post that you're going to go ahead and do, you're going to go ahead and find something else that you can improve on, you know, whether that's, you know, I can improve the audio a little bit. I can go ahead and improve the lighting a little bit. I can improve, like, there's always little tweaks that you can go ahead and make. So it just starts with the first post and you just go ahead and get better and better from there. But it's just really about taking that first step and committing to yourself to going ahead and just pushing forward. And trusting yourself, you know, trusting the fact that, you know, you can go ahead and do this, and the fact that no one knows your business better than you, and no one can go ahead and convey that passion for your business better than you. So yeah, go out there and post. And that's it. Thank you guys. Do you guys if you have any questions at all, you can go ahead and come off mute and go, or you can go ahead and ask them inside the Q&A. Or if you think of any questions into the future, you can go ahead and email me at the email below. I will do my best to go ahead and get back to you in a timely fashion. I also do have office hours if you guys need specific help with posting or creating posts or anything related to social. I offer like 30-minute consultations or office hours to talk about really anything that you want to help you. They're completely free. And when I send a follow-up email with these slides, I'll make sure to go ahead and link that in there too, so you have that. But with that being said, any questions? Okay. It seems like that's about it. So I think we can end a little 10.
Yes, hi, I had a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So I put it in the Q&A. My question is,
Okay, hold on. I see it.
How- how developed should your presence be before you engage in e-commerce on any of the given platforms? For instance, how many posts should you have had? How many followers, or, approximately?
Okay. In terms of the presence, I know depending on, it depends on how you engage with e-commerce on the platform. I know some, are you going ahead and do you have a Shopify that you're linking to for the e-commerce, or are you going ahead and doing direct e-commerce integration on the platform?
Well, I would say a direct integration.
Okay,
on
so you're
platform.
using like TikTok shopping, or you're using Instagram shopping, not necessarily.
Right, that's what I would be doing, yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of like the reason why I asked is because I know, of course, that usually they go ahead and charge like a fee for using their services on a monthly basis. So if you already had Shopify and you were just like linking it to it, it should be fine. But if money is an issue, of course, I totally understand. If it's not necessarily like that big of a hassle, I would go ahead and start, linking it right away. But if you do have, if you want to go ahead and save those funds for something else, you can go ahead and wait a bit, and go ahead and generate some interest and buzz. First, you can go ahead and direct people to your website. You can go ahead and collect some email information from whenever you are ready to go ahead and start selling, just so you're not going ahead and pumping money into it. But if you're okay with going ahead and spending the money, you can go ahead and go right away. There's never, even if you have, 5 followers, there's still, 5 followers that you can go ahead and still sell to. There might be somebody in there who might be going ahead and be like, maybe I might go ahead and want to go ahead and buy the product. So you never quite know. So it really just depends on your budget and how much you're willing to go ahead and spend per month. And if you're willing to go ahead and wait to go ahead and to see that coming in. But it's not necessarily a right or wrong answer.
Okay, and that's a good point. So in other words, you can direct people to your website or some other platform that you have to sell
Exactly.
the products.
Exactly. Like, you don't necessarily have to start off by going ahead and doing that. Like, it's easier for people to go ahead and buy through Instagram, but it's not necessarily like, has to be the way. You can still direct them, to a product page. You can still go ahead and have a Linktree, which I'm surprised I didn't actually cover it in this presentation, but Linktree, I recommend, to everybody, it's completely free to use. You can put it inside of your Instagram bio, you can put it inside your TikTok description and your Facebook description. It's basically just a single link that you can go ahead and use that hosts all of your other links. So instead of having to post 5 different links, here's my website, here's this page for this like new product that I have, here's a link to my YouTube page, like you can just have that all on one link, and it'll be a page where it has multiple buttons that take you to wherever you want them to go ahead and go. So it's just a seamless way of getting people to check out all of your links. So highly recommend Linktree. So it's like link, like you click on a link, and then a tree, like a tree outside. But I hope I answered your question.
You did, thank you.
Okay, awesome.
Linktree is good. I mean, I've seen others that have used it, so I think as a user, I mean, or as the potential consumer, I think for me, it's helpful.
Yeah, no, I like Linktree too. I always recommend, because I personally love when I see someone who has a Linktree, because it's just like, it's cool, especially when I know a lot of people will go ahead and leverage them and be like, I have a new ebook coming out, you can go ahead and check out, the preview for it here. And it's like, they still have, their website, they still have links to like, whatever, but they have it all broken up, and it's very nice, it's colorful, and it's easy to use. But I did see you have another question about a sample IG posting calendar slide. I can definitely share, I'll be sharing the slides, but then I'll also go ahead, I can share a link to basically a sample calendar that you can go ahead and use.
That's great, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, awesome. If that's it, then I'll give you guys the last 9 minutes of your time back. Thank you all so much for joining. It's been a pleasure. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Have a good one.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.